So this helps me get out a lot more.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Zach,
The community.
tell me about that. What do you like about the community?
Well, I'm not a guy that has very many friends. I've made all my friends from CrossFit, so it's just good to be around a group of like-minded individuals. So.
Did you two meet each other in the CrossFit gym? No? No?
We met in the science building, but then we met in the CrossFit gym.
So the CrossFit had a role in your relationship though, yeah?
I think we're married because CrossFit probably. Part of one of the reasons.
Years ago, I had a husband come in. He did CrossFit for the first time, and then because CrossFit is an STD, his wife came in the next week. And they had an anniversary date the next week, and they hadn't had one in like 10 years because they have all these kids. And she came in, and she's kind of tearing up a bit. She goes, "That's the best date we've had in I don't know how long, because we talked about this thing that we're both passionate about." And I think you and I talked about that before you went on your marriage and honeymoon, right? Which was, you have this thing that you're deeply passionate about that you get to share, and that brings you closer, doesn't it? Yeah. What else do you love about CrossFit, Grace?
I love my friends, like that. But also, I love that I get to tell my patients about CrossFit. And they're all like, what should I do to work out? And I argue with a lot of people that women should lift weights. I love it that women lift weights, and a lot of people don't do that because they think they're gonna get bulky. And I'm like, it's way harder to get bulky than you think.
Yeah, well, if you get bulky, I'll give you $10 million.
I said, if you get bulky, I'll be impressed. But yeah.
Yeah. Alex, can I have you ask or answer what you love about CrossFit?
Yeah, I love the variety of CrossFit. There's always new movements to get better at, to try, to just grow in. So I think that's sweet. I like sports for that reason because there's a lot of different things that can happen in a single game, and CrossFit feels like the exercise version of that. So.
Hey, I think Alex might be the only person here that doesn't coach or has never coached. Maybe it doesn't have his L1. But he just wanted to pop in and join us. And I really, really, really appreciate that. I actually offer this to a few people that I think, like Grace, when you went to your L1, did you become a better athlete as a result?
Oh, 100%.
And why was that, do you think?
I mean, I think that there's things I thought I was good at, and then some of the people were like, no.
CrossFit, like, we'll find what you're bad at and just rub it in your face, right?
Yeah.
Thomas, what do you love about CrossFit, sir?
Jeez, you put me on the spot like
I put everyone on a spot.
all the answers have been given.
Yeah.
The community, finding friends, all my best friends, I met them at CrossFit.
Mm-hmm.
The variety of the workouts, but I would say just to stay funny, it helps me look good naked.
Do you know what? That is exactly right. People want to look better naked. No one's saying, I wish I was worse naked. No one's ever saying that, right?
I saw that last year, 9 months without being able to walk at all.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
9 months on crutches or in a hospital bed, and I gained weight and I was miserable. And I saw the difference just coming back. I came back January, start working out just upper body, and then since March, April, just going to class, and it's just the body transformation. I think I lost almost 40 pounds.
Thomas, you might not know this, but when people come to the gym, I say this, you have to meet Thomas. Because you served in the French Foreign Legion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've traveled the world, and you have like all these unique experiences. You're also this very humble and really nice dude. So you've had some mental toughness training. Do you think that CrossFit helped you get through your challenges with your surgeries?
Oh, definitely.
How so?
Yeah, absolutely. Just that thrived. You know, I just wanted, and again, I remember just going, I still had I was on crutches, I still had all the braces, and Chris said to get me out. I was just turning crazy at home, not doing anything, and he said, okay, come with me to Monroe. Let's go to Monroe. That was here, there was a lot of change in the coaching staff, in the management, and he said, well, okay, Wolverine, stop by to see your friends, but let's go to Monroe, have some fun. I already knew Zach, but just being there and talking to Zach, who went to something similar, also an injury in the military. We compare experiences and always the positivity and had something to look for. You know, just like, oh, I cannot wait, I want to walk. And again, Zach told me he was able to squat, and just that long after, okay, where I am in my recovery, even though it's not the same injury, but that's, the connection of CrossFit, the thrive, and just like, I want to be able, sitting there and you just have your legs straight, whatever it's the right or the left, and you're just like, oh my God, I would be so much better than them. Yeah, and you know me, sometimes just, I look at people just like, nah, no rep. No, it's just, it's good. You have a big mouth. I know you're gonna brag on social media, but everything, you look like shit. It's just, and I'm just like, I cannot wait to come back and show them.
You know, I did put you on the spot, but you said all the answers were given. They clearly weren't. And so I want other people that haven't gone yet to understand that you have something to add to this conversation for sure. Hey, thank you for sharing that. Andy, what do you love about CrossFit?
Builds mental toughness. I'll come in here versus other gyms. People look at the program and they say, wow, I really don't want to do that, and they do it. I go to other gyms, people look at the program and they say, what's something else I can do? What's an alternative? So at least people have that desire to go through it. So I think that competitive nature, or just the friendship nature community that they touched on earlier, builds that toughness.
At the gym that Chris and I started at in 2004, there were women coming in that were just naturally, I'm not gonna say anyone's good at CrossFit, but you kind of get better as you go. But because they came in and they said, I can't do that. And the coach would go, yeah, you can. Do it. And he was like this big drill instructor. I'm like, okay, and they did it. And then they'd go to work and all of a sudden, they're like, hey, I need a raise. I'm really good at my job. And they'd get that raise and they'd come in and go, I never would have had the confidence to ask for that raise before CrossFit. Now, I am in charge of my whole division at my work. Stuff like that, right?
Sure.
Chris, can I call on you? What do you love about CrossFit?
A bunch of stuff, but like look at our Friday night lights.
I know, right?
You get 55 people or something like that on a Friday night.
For those you might not know, Adam Wellman, who I trained at Hyperfit years ago, who's just this super awesome dude, right? So he volunteers his time to run this thing called Friday Night Lights. We had our record high attendance of like 63 people at this.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were so many cars that people had to park in Saline and take a shuttle over here to get in. But you said something about it, which was it's just a friendly competition, so people just come in just to be part of it and not try to get hurt or like be the best of the best. He had all these fun little trophies with fun names on them.
And for someone like, I was speaking to some of the ladies who had just started CrossFit, and they're like, I've worked out my whole life, basically just running and at Globo gyms,
Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, before I had martial arts. And if I would have come in here not having, or maybe only done CrossFit a couple months, like I would have been super intimidated to come in here on a Friday night and do this competition with these freaking fire breathers, and here are these women that have only been doing it a couple months, and they were scared. I could tell they were scared, but I could also tell that they were super proud and fired up that they were part of it and they didn't die and they could do it. And, just being around all that positivity and people who can perform at that level just rubs off on you. It's just
Chris designed a t-shirt. It was Comfort Zone, and then, what was that t-shirt again?
Well, it had a circle, and it said comfort zone, and then it had an X on it, said outside of the circle, it said you are here.
Yeah, because that's how we grow. Wayne, can I call on you next? What do you love about CrossFit, sir?
I like the vulnerability of it. So because of the way that we do our programming, everybody has to have a weekday. Everybody has a bad workout, bad movement, a bad something show up. And because it makes you really vulnerable in a group of people, it leads to deeper friendships, to deeper relationships, to a better understanding of self. So if you can't let yourself drop low, then you don't really get to learn those things. And I think that CrossFit forces that. And here especially, we get to see doctors, nurses, top of industry come in here and look like absolute shit and then deal with it. And because of that, I think they find love, they find friends, they find people, they find parts of themselves that they wouldn't have been able to challenge outside of these four walls.
I learn something every time I talk to you.
Well said, Wayne.
Yeah, I might let's move into your house. Wayne, what's to do? And your wife's like, it's time for MLB to go.
She's like, let's talk about his rent payment.
Zach?
I think the thing that drew me into CrossFit, probably the biggest, was the thing I was missing from the military was that brotherhood thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing to kind of touch on what everybody else has already said here today is that little part that you miss by being vulnerable around people. And when you're out here on the floor with high-powered CEOs or I don't know, anybody who like bags local groceries, when everybody's suffering equally. And it doesn't matter if you're the strongest person in the room, the weakest person in the room, everybody is now equal. And because of that, it now creates this like energy in the room that everybody's like, oh, I have these relationships with people in my life, but now the relationship that I'm building with these people in the room is closer than it is with blood sometimes. And because of that, like, that inspired me so much. Like, I want to share this with more people, because sometimes you have to go through something really, really bad to get there. And through CrossFit, I guess it gives you kind of a, I don't want to say a safe space, but like, we're not going to have to go to war to figure this out together. We just have to do burpees for a long time, and this is going to suck, but we can do it together. In the military, sometimes like it gets way worse, and like people are dying and stuff like that. Like, I don't think we need to go to that level for people to share this part of camaraderie and be like, yeah, like I have family members that I'm close with, but these people in this room that will suffer with me, I'm closer with them, because they're willing to do the things that other people aren't willing to do.
That bonding through mutual suffering, which is similar to if you ever lived through like a hurricane or a fire or a tornado that's affected people in your neighborhood, all of a sudden you start coming together in ways you didn't come together before that. There's just something to that you can't make up. It's real.
Yeah,
it's real.
And that's the biggest thing. I remember being a college student at 25 for the first time and limping around. People were like, oh, that's that Marine vet guy, don't talk to him. And of course everybody's like 17, 18 years old, and I'm like, God, nobody like gets it. Nobody understands like that suffering part. And then I walked into a CrossFit gym for the first time, and everybody got it. And I was like, okay, these are my people, this is my tribe. And from then on, I was like, how can I get more people to come in and see that? Because that's the thing I miss the most in life. And like, let's see if we can get more people to do that. So that's what I wake up and do every day. See if we can get more people to suffer, I guess, but together.
So I'm Michael O'Brien, Coach MOB. I love CrossFit. CrossFit changed my life. If that's true for you, please raise your hand. We had a kid at Eastern when Chris and I did one of these. We'd go to places and just give a little workshop on CrossFit. And this kid looked a little embarrassed. He goes, CrossFit changed my life. And I just went up to him, hey, CrossFit changed my life too. I want you to be proud of that. No one has changed the face of fitness more than Coach Greg Glassman. He revolutionized fitness, and he turned it from stuff that didn't really work for people into something that does work. And before he put out level ones, there was nothing, and now there's at least something. The only one that hasn't done their level one is you, is that right? Don't worry, I won't keep pointing you out.
I haven't. I don't know if anyone else hasn't.
Yeah. When did you do your L1? No, you haven't done it, right? Yeah.
I'm doing it next weekend.
Where are you going?
Holland. Wayne and Eric taking a girls trip.
That took a second. Sometimes when I'm in the gym, the jokes don't sink in right away.
So you're finally gonna be a girl?
So I met Chris in 2004 at that first CrossFit gym that he and I got started at. It was the 13th affiliate in the world. And before that, I was just a horrible personal trainer in a horrible gym. I quit teaching to pursue a career in fitness, and I lost everything. I had to sell comics and collectibles, my Magic the Gathering cards, everything. Yeah, to like just pay rent. And then I do my first CrossFit workout with this guy at the gym that I was working at, and it was the hardest thing I'd ever done in my entire life, but I knew I fell in love with it. And at one point during the workout, it was 21-15-9, dumbbell thrusters and ball slams. And I worked out with two other women, and they finished the workout with more weight than me in under 5 minutes. It took me 30 minutes, up twice, and at one point I was gonna quit, but the coach went over to this, okay, look at this. I'm gonna kill my first trainer. And I swear to God, if he hadn't said that, I would have quit. But he said it, and he knew how to get me going, because what coaching cue do we use? The one that works. And that's what got me to stick with it. And so I showed up every time he was teaching, and he invited every coach and trainer in that gym to come learn from him, because he was making 6 figures in 2004, back when I was impoverished and just having to sell my Magic cards to pay rent. So I learned a lot from that guy. It was really, really a golden time. Anything you want to add to that before we move on to phase 2? You each are going to need, oh please.
No, I think that kind of conversation would be great to share with members, or even having that talk on social media. And I was listening to the talk about Friday Night Lights, and I think that's great, and that's something we should remind people sometimes, because out of the 50 or 60 people, there's still some people who didn't get that CrossFit mindset and come and just like, I just want to be the best. Yeah, but it's not the place. It's just as Zach said, it's a camaraderie. It's a thing, just get out of your comfort zone. It's not about the reps, it's not about the form, it's just don't get injured and get the job done.
You know, a positive attitude is contagious, and one of the things I like about Grace is there are so many times she comes in the room and all of a sudden everyone is in a better mood. You have this like superpower, kid. I love it. Hey, you each need one of these Post-its and one of these markers. You're going to find a spot on that wooden wall right over there with your Post-it and your marker.
Wait, you're not a coach, so technically you're not a coach.
You can have mine.
That's one heck of a Post-it, right?
I don't like these.
Are we sticking it on the wall, sir?
On the wall, somewhere where you can write on it. Don't like put it wall ball height. I'll show him. It's on the wall like you said. Smart ass. Wayne, you melt my face off every time I talk to you. Man.
You have to return the crayon, don't eat it.
Don't eat the crayon.
The answers kept getting better. I was like, I gotta elevate.
Right?
Which like Polestar crayons, right? You got suck on.
Ross might be the hardest working person in the whole gym.
Says it every time I come in. One of these days I'm going
So
to
you
have to
know
actually
that
do
he
it.
means it, yeah?
I'm so glad he's here today. It's great. So we determined that CrossFit means something to people. Is that right? It's important to them. So we have an increased responsibility to honor that deeper meaning, which is why you all are here right now. You have given up your time to be here. Chris has given up his time to be here. I've given up my time to be here. So we are accepting this responsibility to get better at the art and science of coaching, or just be able to contribute to our community or gym. This first piece of paper is the 9 common points of performance in the upper left-hand corner. You're going to write number 9 and then 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 9 to 1, all the way down that left margin. What we're doing right now is called active listening. It is different than sitting in a chair and listening to me talk, because I can talk and talk and talk. I've been told I'm an external processor, Zach. Yeah, which I didn't take personally because I'm like, it's true. I was taught by my first coach to coach from the ground up. So anytime any one of our athletes is about to do a barbell movement, what's the first thing we look at? Stance. And we have 2 primary options. They are what? Yeah. Number 1, stance / grip. Number 1 on the very bottom, because we go from the ground up. Stance / grip. Grip's going to come into play today as we work on some upper body movements. Sticking with from the ground up, what is the next point of performance? Yep, we just call this root through heels. You can abbreviate as much as you like. Grace, his handwriting is not too shabby.
Well, he's doing better today than he usually does, so.
So far. I'm glad to hear. What's next?
That's funny.
What do you think's next, Zach? What do you think's next?
Yeah, she can't talk, come on.
What do you think's next? Knees doing what?
In line with the toes.
Knees track with toes, number 3. I was popping and locking and Zach didn't know what the hell I was doing. Everyone balance on one leg, bring one up. This is external rotation in the knee. This is internal rotation in the knee. Now extend that leg out. This is external rotation in the hip. This is internal rotation in the hip. If someone is squatting, dip driving, pressing, what have you, and we're seeing the hip internally rotate and the tib fib externally rotate, we're creating what's called a valgus knee. And anytime that hinge joint rotates incorrectly, it creates tiny tears that accumulate over time until one day that knee goes. So anytime anyone that I train dip drives and they come in like this, or we see the feet cave in, I have to come in and fix that immediately because we only have the 2 knees. Anytime they squat and these knees get closer on the way down, I have to come in and fix that immediately. Sometimes we say pull the floor apart or drive the knees away from each other like they're enemies. My knees are allies, but I can't speak for your knees. From the ground up, what's next? And this is hip extension, which is vital, especially when we get into the push press and push jerk today. Number 4, hip extension. Number 5, C-dub, do you remember?
Neutral spine.
Yes, neutral spine or midline stabilization. Either one of those is acceptable. Midline stabilization is your ability to resist flexion or extension at the spine. In the bottom of that squat, like I learned in June, if we see the pooping dog or the J-Lo booty, we've eliminated intra-abdominal pressure. So imagine we have 2 cans. One can is full of whatever beverage you like. The other can is empty. If you stand on the can that is empty, it's going to squish. If you stand on the can that's full, you can put yourself on there, then someone else on your shoulders, and someone else on top of them. So put one hand on your belly and then one hand on your low back. And find neutral. And then test it. Is that all right? I don't want to. That's nice. Zach, you're great. That neutral spine is essential for the 3 movements we're working on today: strict, push, and jerk today. Now we're getting into the last body part before things get subjective. What's the last body part from the ground up? Active. Active shoulders. You're so right. Active shoulders. Number 6. In August, when we hit the deadlift series, we're really going to spend some time on active shoulders. Everyone raise your arms up in the air, like so. Like you just don't care, right? What I'm looking for is, do I have one ear closer to the other when someone has their arms overhead? Did they lose the shape of their spine, or are they able to achieve this? Is each hand pointed the same way? For example, is one here and one here? We want to know what's going on with that shoulder, because what's the number 1 injury in CrossFit? Shoulders, by far. We only get the 2. We want to keep them safe. Now things get a little subjective from the ground up, and what we would put here, we're going to put in frontal plane as the next one of these. Frontal plane. Last month I talked about how Wayne showed up and deadlift started getting better in the building, because instead of that bar starting here, that bar started here, either mid-foot or as close to the midline as possible. And you fixed this with one word. What was it? Shoelaces. Yeah, right there. And it made me so happy, and I had to, less and less, I had to run out of that back room and go fix somebody. It was great. Number 8, range of motion. You can put ROM. Take your left hand and put it on your right bicep. Flex that elbow as far as you can and feel that bicep puff up, and then extend all the way out and feel that bicep extend. That's the easiest example. That's the easiest example of understanding how muscles contract and expand or lengthen and shorten. When muscles lengthen and shorten, that creates force or gets us in a better position. What would happen to my knees if I squatted like that for my whole life?
They'd lose range of motion.
Things would get really tight, right? Like when we train a marathon runner, that's about as deep as I can go, coach. Once we get the hips below the knees, range of motion, we take the stress off the quads and knees and feed it in the hamstrings and glutes where we want that to be. Some people might not have the ankle mobility to get that low, but it's a goal. It's a goal. I have some athletes that squat down to a ball on some plates. I have another athlete that squats down to a lacrosse ball. deep squat. Last one of these is what? Who knows? The last common point of performance in CrossFit. C2E. Core to extremity. Bam! There it is. Anyone here gone to their USAW or Bergner cert? Tell us about core to extremity, kids.
Generate more force, keep the spine safe.
Why would we ever want to generate more force in CrossFit?
Lift more weight.
Whoa, I can get that PR and clean. That means so much to me that if I don't get it, I'll start crying and go home and call my mom. I didn't get PR on the clean. Bergner says, when the arms bend, the power ends. But if I went to your gym or our gym or any gym in the world and videoed some cleans or snatches, what are we going to see consistently? Early arm bend, because it's really difficult to get rid of it. Today we're going to teach you how to do the progressions continuum to regress back to an earlier learning progression to fix that on people so that you can come into class tomorrow and be immediately better at teaching movements. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns on anything. What questions do you have on the 9 common points of performance?
Oh, is there one that you notice that people tend to lapse on more frequently than others?
So of all of them, it's active shoulders for sure. Look at me do this. Now look at me do this. This is being trap dominant. This is being lat dominant. Which one do you think is better for the shoulders? Lat dominant, this huge muscle that helps do 3 things. Stack the ribs, put the scapula in the position we want it, and put the head of the humerus in the socket where we want it. Not here, not here, here, not here, not here, here. So we teach a bunch of people that just want to work hard. And they don't know what they don't know, and they don't even know that they don't know it. When you and I did some work together for your gymnastics advanced training, all we did was work with a PVC pipe because I wanted to clean up your everyday barbell skills to reduce the likelihood of injury, because if you injure your shoulder, we can't do fun muscle up and handstand stuff, right? So we dialed in some nuance on that. We got video and we sent that to you so you could come into class the next day and go, oh, this is where I want my shoulders in that deadlift now. Look at my elbows. Look at those huge lats. Yeah, that's a very good question. So in my opinion, it's active shoulders, but if you had a different opinion, I'd be really open to that.
It's exercise specific because the early arm bend is one that we see a lot. And the reason it happens is because people are strong. They're strong enough to cheat, right?
Yes.
They're strong enough to cheat by pulling early on the arms. That's also the same person who says, I've got a PR in a while, I need extra programming, my programming's not working. No, you're doing it wrong, you're not moving core to extremity, you're pulling with your arms because you're strong enough to move like a log truck through the workout versus doing it correctly. And if you want to get a PR, learn how to not bend those arms. So again, it's exercise specific.
He's hitting on something that I think is key, which is, I think you and I have this, you and I have this, I think you and I have it, right? A coach-to-athlete rapport built on trust. So if the athlete, because I used to teach classes here, of course, Chris and I opened this gym in 2013, and if I have an athlete that's consistently pulling from the floor like this, before the bar even gets above their knees, they're pulling with the elbows, I would go over and say, hey, listen, we're gonna have you pull from above the knee for the next few, okay? Okay, and it would fix it, and I'd turn around and come back, and the same thing's happening. So for an entire chapter, that's 3 months of programming, I eliminated all barbell pulls from the floor. We're just going from above the knee, because then they didn't know I was fooling them into doing it right. And what do you think happened after those 3 months? The people that came in consistently got better, because for the weekly coaches meeting, I said, hey, for the next 3 months, all the barbell movements from above knee. My comp athletes were a few exceptions that I had them pull from below because they needed that for local comps. So I had them on more specific instructions when they went. But they were able to teach, like you and Zach talk in the morning, and it trickles down to other coaches. So the same message got sent to every athlete. It was awesome. I eliminated early arm bend for this tiny amount of time in the class. I was like, I'm the smartest man alive.
Weirdly, Mike, and to come back to what Chris said, it's our competition athletes that have the most flows when you look at them, because as Chris said, they're strong enough to get away with a lot